And now we go back to cinema and we go to Pearl. Pearl. Now Pearl is a oh no wait let me guess it's a prequel. It's a prequel. I was gonna say
Frequent,
sequel, but it's a
yes.
prequel to the film X, which was released a while back and I reviewed. And Sean,
You reviewed it, yeah.
yeah, you were talking about how
Review.
because you weren't on the show when I reviewed it, but you were talking about how you were just watching the review of what I said about X. And X happened it managed to be one of these rare things, which was a horror movie that I actually thought had something a little bit more to say than hey, let's kill some people.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. X, yeah, X was for me. I mean, I guess like Sharon when she was saying about our friends liking it, you know, yeah. I mean, I was with them on that. It's nods to so many films, you know, Texas Chainsaw, Death Trap, and I mean, I really enjoyed X.
yes. And
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 yeah,
so and so
yeah,
X and so this is a prequel. There's a character I don't want to give too much away about X, but because I think you should go see it because I actually think X is the rare horror movie that I would recommend. Uh,
and I say this is a prequel, but I'm glad you that X came out first. So, I mean, it's quite funny. I had this conversation. It was, oh, you know, would you like to see him chronologically? But if you was to see it chronologically, I think it would spoil X.
I think so too.
So
I,
I think they've done this. I mean, it was a good move doing that.
well, the thing is, okay, because this is it's called Pearl and is named after a character in X, and
Yes.
I think, quite frankly, if they'd released this first, nobody was going to see it. The only reason you want to go see it is because in X you see the character of Pearl, and you do wonder about the character of Pearl. You do wonder, like, what the heck is up with that? And this is a
Yes.
question that the film, like, so tries. I'm guessing tries to tell you a little bit about what the heck is up with that. So tell us, Pearl.
Okay, so Pearl. So this is the story. Obviously, the character from X is Pearl. She's a bit younger. She is married, and her husband. She's married to Howard. You know, it's the
Mm-hmm.
same. And but he's off. It takes place 1918. The war's just finishing,
Yeah.
um, and he's still off with war. So there's some letters that are sent and all that. She lives on the farm. He actually comes from quite good stock, from quite good family, quite well off family, where she's from this really domineering German mother. And there is a pandemic on at the time, which is very so,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
and when Pearl wants to go out, it's like, you know, no, I don't want you bringing back, I don't want you bringing back the germs and everything like that. And there's another, okay. So yeah, so you see her on the farm, she talks to the animals and she wants to be a star. It's always this big thing, star, you know, oh, I want
Yeah.
to be a star. She dances for the animals on the hay bales and things like that. And then this sort of duck comes and goes, oh, Mr. Goose, and something happens. But anyway, so she likes these animals, but she's also pretty cruel. Anyway, she goes into town and she's sort of looking at the cinema. There's a cinema, obviously, it's the silent ones with the 1918, and she goes to the cinema and she walks down the side and she's a projectionist, and
Oh.
so she sees a projectionist. The projectionist all come into the projection booth and you know, come in, and he comes in and he says, oh, you want to see one of these movies? This is what they call a stag movie, and you'd be really good in this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so and she's sort of looking through the thing, and she goes back and something else, and she
Wait. Snag movie was that code for porn?
a porn, yeah. So like a real black and white. He goes, oh yeah, they show these in gentlemen's clubs. This is the future. This is the future of. This is where
Yeah.
films are going to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, she decides, she goes off. She's a little bit, you know, she goes off and she does something with the scarecrow, which we won't talk about. But then she ends up going back to see the projectionist, and she has a little thing of the projectionist, and the projectionist quite likes her.
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh, I'll give you a lift back. She's done some other things in the meantime. She's done some other things to mum and dad. She's not very nice to the dad, who is aware, but he's a paraplegic. He can't do anything for himself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
aware of things, and she sort of teases him so he can see. Anyway,
Yeah. Because
enough
because
about the
if
story. Enough about the story. I've made some notes on this because
yep.
I thought this
Cool.
was
What did you
really
think?
okay. I'm going to tell you what I thought. The projectionist, when he goes to the farm, and she's like, you know, well, what's wrong with all that? And he can see, he's like, see, man, I need to,
I need to get the hell out of here.
I need to get the hell out. Am I going to do this without seeing me too? Oh, so right, I've got to go back to the thing. And it reminded me of a situation that I've been in at one time. So something's happened, and then and I thought, and I could really relate to that. I was like, oh my God. I mean, obviously, something a bit more disastrous than that. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
What?
anyway, a lot of nods to films in this. But what I'm going to say is, this to me. I'm in love with Mia Goth. I think she is the most amazing actress that I've ever come across. She's so yeah. She was absolutely brilliant in this. She does a monologue for about 11 minutes.
Oh wow!
And it is absolutely. She's fantastic. She's fantastic in this. So the story, she's part of the, like I said, Howard was from a rich family. So she's got like a sister-in-law who's like, oh, there's this dance show coming and they're going to choose one girl from every village. So she turns up and she performs, and then you go into this lovely sequence of fireworks and like a big thing. And you can see an imagination. And for me, it worked. I thought, wow, this really works. She's actually there. And even though it's just like a little stage in a village hall, she's actually there in
Carnegie Hall or something.
Yeah, in the hall. And then they say, no, sorry, we're not interested. She goes, but. So it's all about the stardom and all about, disappointment and stuff.
Yeah.
A terrific scene when she's having an argument with her mother and there's a rainstorm going on. And I think it is, wow, I'm going to stick my neck out here. This is probably the best film I've seen for a good few years. As much as I like it, yes, and so I've made. She does things to animals all the way through, so she builds up. But in that monologue, and I was talking about empathy.
Yeah,
you can see where she's coming from. She just said, "I wanted to be loved." You could see it, and it leads on so well into what's going to happen in X, and it just shows a really, really. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about this film. I loved it. And the titles at the end, right? It's got to be about, just because, I mean, I won't spoil it. So obviously your husband's away, your husband's going back. And then there's titles come up. The titles are there with a close up. And I would say for, I don't know how long, 5 minutes. And then, so like a big grin and then gradually going, changing. Reminded me a bit of, I don't know. I can't say enough about the acting. Was first class. Reminded me of a scene in Hostiles with
Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike. Yeah.
A couple of scenes in Fury with Brad Pitt, which I loved. I thought she convinced me. She was totally convincing in this movie. Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, yeah. What can I say? It's just I thought it was brilliant, and there were nods to. Not just Death Trap and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then nods to Mary Poppins, it was
Yeah, because you know that there's a third film coming.
Yeah. But I hope it's going to stay as it is.
There's a third film called Maxine, set in the 80s. So this is like I have gone on record saying I really don't like horror, especially slasher movies. Where I'm like, why is this? But I felt like X was doing something that there were things in it where it was making comparisons between like porn and horror and all that kind of stuff. And you were talking about the references to all these other films, and it made me think, okay, if I'd watched more horror movies, I'd appreciate how clever this film is more. And I feel like this is when Pearl was being released, I was actually like. Because apparently they started while they were making X, Mia Goth and the director Ty West, they just started talking and they were like, okay, Pearl, what about Pearl? What's up? And so they ended up coming up with this whole idea. So by the time X was released, they had actually shot Pearl. And it apparently came across quite organically. So I'm really interested in what they're doing, and I'm really interested in in seeing more of it. So but anyway, it sounds like you're totally sold.
I am totally sold. I'm just worried that I've sold it too much, and you might go there expecting good things. And so, if you do go and see it, you keep an open mind and you give your own. Don't think that what's Sean going on about? No.
I'll tell you, because the thing is, I know as the same way with X, I'm expecting that there's going to be a lot of stuff that is going to be over my head because not big horror fan, do not like horror movies, and I'm expecting, and so.
I think X was 18, wasn't it? This is 15, and there's not so much in the way of sex.
And what I would say is I know Mia Goth. Mia Goth is a great actress. Yeah, Mia Goth is a great so I think me watching Pearl is just a case of it's curiosity. I just want to see. It's not. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not expecting it to be good. I don't think it will be bad. But it's just a curiosity. I just want to see. Okay, what are these guys gonna do? How are they gonna play this? That's what I want to see. So I don't even know what I should ask. But how many stars would you give Pearl?
Well, this is the high. This is a solid high 5. And if I could give it more, I would. I just loved it. Oh, and I have to say there was about. I would say there's probably. What was it? 8 people, 8 other people in the cinema. So, and they all stayed to the end of the credits. I've never seen that before.
Nice.
No one got up. It's almost like they were expecting something else to happen. You know what I mean? You know, like you have these after credit sequences.
Yeah.
Like they were expecting some more, but they all stayed there. I spoke to a couple, and the lady said, that was absolutely brilliant. She says, I love my horrors and all that. And I spoke to the bloke, because I've not really seen many horror films, but yeah, it was all right. So not everybody was totally enamored as you know, so it's going to be a bit like that, I think. But for me, yes, a solid 5 stars. Well, more than a solid 5 stars, a high 5 stars. I really, really liked it. And I am totally enamored with Mia Goth. And
you're in love with Mia Goth.
Florence Pugh. I'm afraid Florence Pugh, you'll have to take
the way you talking about this, I can see all of a sudden, like, you know, Florence Pugh leaving your mind. I can see Ana de Armas going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Mia Goth is now like on a throne in your head. It's like yes, I am now Sean's actress du jour. Yeah.